Hey everybody, I hope and pray that you're doing well. Today as we come to our word from the word. And today that word is money. Money. Now I know all of you just grabbed your wallet, just held on to it. I know I'm not doing a collection today. But to think about as Jesus here, as we've been going over, Jesus is in his final week of earthly ministry and before the crucifixion and subsequent resurrection. So just think about those final days. And yet here he is answering a question about money. Now, doesn't that sound about right? That's the same priorities that people had 2,000 years ago are the same priorities that people have today. But the motivation behind it comes from those who were upset with Jesus from the passage we looked at yesterday. And we're going to pick right up where we left off there in Luke chapter 20. Look at verses 20 through 26 today. So they watched him and sent spies who pretended to be righteous that they might seize on his words in order to deliver him to the power and the authority of the governor. Then they asked him, saying, Teacher, we know that you say and teach rightly, and you do not show personal favoritism, but teach the way of God in truth. Is it lawful for us to pay taxes to Caesar or not? But he perceived their craftiness and said to them, Why do you test me? Show me a denarius. Whose image and inscription does it have? And they answered and said, Caesar's. And he said to them, Render therefore to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. But they could not catch him in his words in the presence of the people, and they marveled at his answer and kept silent. Now, as these spies, or as some commentators have said, more like private investigators that were kind of sneaking around trying to catch him, just saying just the wrong thing or saying it in the wrong way. And you think about the predicament that they put him in. And so we're going to catch him or really trap him is really what they're trying to do. And so they butter him up and say, hey, we know you know all these things. And man, we can really, they're pretending to be righteous. And they know that he is just, he, they're trying to butter him up so that he will give them an answer that they think will make him slip up. I mean, you think about if somebody kind of, softens you up a little bit and kind of boost your ego, that sometimes that's when we kind of let our mouth run a little bit more than it should and we end up saying the wrong thing. Now that's what they were trying to do to Jesus, but Jesus is too smart for that. Of course, he knows all things. And so as he knows this, he says, you can imagine him thinking to himself, okay, you really thought you were going to trick me with that question? So he says, okay, how about this? You're worried about paying taxes. I mean, that's all it boiled down to. If he said, no, you don't need to pay taxes. You just need to pay attention to what you need to give to God. Then they would have turned him into Rome, and they would have said, "Hey, this guy is out there teaching everybody that they don't have to pay taxes," and that would have got him at the opposite end of Rome. Then you would also find him saying, "Okay, well." And all the people would have followed suit as well. Let me say that. Those who were following him would have said, okay, well, we don't need to do it either. And think about all the distraction from the real reason he was here had he said that. Then the other part that he says, okay, well, if he had said, yes, absolutely, yes, you've got to pay taxes and there, all this is right, then you think about all the ones that were following him, even as some have pointed out, even the zealots who were completely against paying anything to Rome, that he would have ostracized them. So Jesus answers the question, and let's be honest, in a way that only Jesus can. He just has them. Okay, well, why don't you look at that money? And I'll be honest, even hadn't really thought about it as much. And we if you're familiar with the passage, you say, okay, well, they pull out money and it's got Caesar's face on it. But do we stop and think for a moment that it wasn't even Jewish money? These are Jews under the Roman rule, and now Rome that's doing, really, essentially doing all these things for the Jews to take care of them, and we know not always in the way that they wanted, but it's kind of like a fee for that would be the taxes. But the point is, I think sometimes we miss that it wasn't even their own money. It was money that belonged to Caesar anyway. It didn't have anything about the Jews on it, right? This was money that belonged to Caesar, and yes, they had it, and maybe it was kind of theirs at the time, but I mean, kind of the same way that we have money today in America. I mean, it's given to us, and you say, "No, I earned it," but then whose name is on it? Right? So that's we love paying taxes, don't we? Isn't that the season for right now? The season for paying taxes, and we would have loved for Jesus to say, "No, you don't need to pay taxes to anybody." He says there's much more important things. He said, "Fine, give Caesar what's Caesar's. If that's his, give him his portion that he's asking for, but also give God what is God's." Now, it's so much more than money, right? It's so much more than just giving tithes and offerings. It's about God giving God your love and your service and your faithfulness and your obedience. Think about all that God has blessed you with. What are you giving back to Him? Right? I mean, we pay taxes grudgingly, but we still do it. You think about with God, how many things do we not even give? And I'll just say it this way, for lack of a better way, how many things do we not even give Him grudgingly? Right? I mean, at least then you could say, well, man, I did it. But we won't even do that. And at the heart of that is the wrong attitude anyway. We should never give to God what is God's because we feel obligated. We should never give God what is God's because we feel it is just our duty to do it as a believer. We should give what is God's back to God's. One, because it's His. And two, because He's given us everything. He sent His Son Jesus to die for us. We could give it all back to Him. Every single thing that we've ever had, we could give it all back to Him, and it would still not come close to the weight of eternity, to the cost of eternity. So today, don't worry about your money. Worry about what you're keeping that actually belongs to God. God bless you, and I pray you have a great, great day.